What's up, everybody? My name is Del. This is Del on Movies. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back and hanging out some more with me. I really appreciate it when you guys spend some of your precious time with me. Since time is short, I won't waste any more of it. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. My man Huck over at Huck's Pop Culture Cafe, he came up with another challenge. Last week he hit us with the A to Z challenge, where you picked a movie for every letter of the alphabet plus a number that you would just take with you to a deserted island where it was just you watch some movies, or with friends, as he informed me later. And went through that stack, had a lot of fun with that. You could check out that video. You definitely can check out Huck's channel. But then he came up with another challenge. So this time he said, you know what? I'm gonna challenge you to find a letter, one movie, not a letter, but one movie for 25 male actors, and plus one more movie that features a male ensemble cast. And just as a spoiler alert, he's gonna do a female one coming up soon, but right now we're just gonna deal with the guys. And I had a lot of fun with doing this, putting this together. So now we're going to get through the video part of it. And I put my own little spin on it, Huck. So I watched a few of these videos already from some of my other fellow YouTubers. If you had some good stuff, got a lot of great time, a lot of great actors. I can't speak. It's pretty late at night when I'm filming this guy, so excuse me. I might be a little tired, but got a lot of great actors. A lot of Tom Hanks, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. Those guys practically helped raise me. So nothing against any of those guys, Brad Pitt, whoever else you can name, great guys. But I decided to put my twist on it, and that is I'm going with all black actors. So let's just get into it. It's in no particular order, but truth told, the most popular ones, we'll get those out of the way quick. And we're going to start with probably the one black actor that's on just about everybody's list. That's Denzel Washington. And I'm gonna go with my favorite performance of his in my favorite movie of his, and that is Malcolm X. So I almost picked this in the A to Z challenge and decided to go with The Matrix instead. So I'm kind of glad that I held off, because this works. And his performance in this movie is so good. One of the best performances I've ever seen personally. Let me give you a little bit of background. I was very familiar with the actual Malcolm X well before the movie came out. Had a poster of him on my wall, so I definitely know what Malcolm X looks like. But ever since the movie came out, and I'm gonna just give you a look at the picture again, whenever I think of Malcolm X or talk about Malcolm X, I first see Denzel's face. I first see that face and have to remind myself that that's not actually Malcolm X. That's Denzel playing Malcolm X, and then I can get the picture of the real Malcolm X. So that's how good a performance he gave in this movie. The next actor on my list is another all-time favorite of mine, and my all-time favorite movie of his, and that is Mr. Eddie Murphy. And I am definitely going to with Coming to America. I also could have picked this in the A to Z challenge. I went with The Christmas Story. It was really close. So again, I made the right choice without even knowing it. So because I had it to pick for Eddie Murphy for this challenge. So Coming to America, one of my all-time greats, all-time faves. I'll probably talk about this 1,000 more times in 1,000 different videos. So I'll not spend too much more time on that one. The next actor I have is a guy who appeared with Eddie in the sequel to Coming to America. Not as good a movie at all, but he did appear in that, and he was probably the best part of that movie, and that's Wesley Snipes. I'm not picking him for the sequel to that, though. I'm picking him for New Jack City. New Jack City is, for me, his best performance in a career where he's got a lot of good performances, plus a lot of the action stuff where he's not relied on his acting skills so much. But this one, he plays the main bad guy here, Nino Brown, legendary, iconic movie bad guy right now, at least for me. So that's my pick for Wesley. Wesley then brings us to Mr. Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne has been around forever and ever and ever. He first showed up back in Apocalypse Now, back when he was, I think, 12 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood, 11, 12 years old. And he's been acting ever since, pretty steadily, pretty regularly, not many breaks in his career. And the movie I'm picking is, for me, his best performance, aside from, well, actually his best performance. His other movie I picked in the A to Z challenge was Boys in the Hood. This movie, I think his performance is even better. He embodies his character fully, and that's one Ike Turner in what the Tina Turner biopic, What's Love Got to Do with It. So Lawrence Fishburne as Ike Turner is perhaps one of the scariest biopic portrayals of all time, because he just it's pretty, you got to see it. If you haven't seen What's Love Got to Do with It, go ahead and check it out, and you will not be disappointed with Lawrence Fishburne, that's for sure. Angela Bassett is also in the movie. When we get to the actresses, I promise you Angela Bassett will be in there, but it won't be for this movie. The next actor that I have is Mr. James Earl Jones. So many movies that I could have picked here. He's another one. He's been around forever and ever as an actor. I almost went with, he's got Claudine in the Criterion Collection that I have. Almost went with The Lion King, but you know, he plays a lion, an animated lion. You don't really see his face, so I didn't want to go with that. I almost picked The Empire Strikes Back. Didn't really go with that either, because then you got a whole series, and I didn't want to go say, okay, let's just bring all the Star Wars movies. Not this time, because he's the voice of Darth Vader, obviously. But again, you don't see his voice in that. So his face, you hear his voice, but you don't see his face. I decided to go with this movie right here, The Great White Hope. It's based on the life of Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion of the world, and it's not a biopic. It's a fictional account of his rising, but it is based a lot in truth. So definitely check this out if you're interested in Jack Johnson or a much younger James Earl Jones, because this movie came out in the 70s. So and see, he was a powerhouse even back then. The next actor is everybody. Speaking of voices, this guy, his voice is one of the most familiar voices in the world. That's Mr. Morgan Freeman. And I picked a movie where he's not always the lead. In a lot of movies he's a co-lead, and in this movie is really no exception. He's a co-lead with Mr. Brad Pitt. It's another one of my all-time favorite movies, and that is Seven. And if you don't know the story of Seven, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, they're teaming up to catch a serial killer who's killing people, and based on based on the 7 deadly sins. And I'll leave it at that. If you have seen it, then you know what's in the box. Let me put it that way. If you've seen it, you know what's in the box. And speaking of guys who've been around, the next actor I have is Samuel L. Jackson. He's been, not only has he been around, he's been in everything. If you saw Ted 2, I think it was Ted 2 they talked about. He wasn't in Ted 2, but one of the characters did not know who Samuel L. Jackson was. So Ted, the teddy bear, talking teddy bear, he says that's the black guy in everything, and that's true. He's in everything, and that includes the Marvel Universe. If you didn't know this about Samuel L. Jackson, even before the MCU started, he was the highest grossing actor of all time as far as the box office goes. His movies have made more money than any other actor in the world, period. And with him being in the MCU, that has extended. His movies have made a ridiculous amount of money, and I went with one that didn't make a ridiculous amount of money, but it's kind of got a cult following, action flick, and that one is The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis. He's is more or less a buddy cop movie, and he's really a private eye trying to help our main character, played by Gina Davis, get her memory back. And if you've not seen The Long Kiss Goodnight and you're a 80s action fan, you should definitely check out this one. And that brings me to a few of the less popular. I do have a couple of more popular actors coming up. They're just lower in the stack, but I'm gonna go with one Mr. Lorenz Tate here. He's popular in my community, around the people that I know, he's a really popular guy. Not so much in the world at large, but he has had some iconic roles, and in particular as O-Dog in Menace to Society. A lot more people have seen him recently because it just, as you can see, it's a Criterion collection. It just got into the Criterion not that long ago. I think it was last year. And his performance is amazing and sad and frightening, and not sad in a way that it's going to make you necessarily cry, but sad in the hopelessness of a character like O-Dog. So Menace to Society, highly recommended by me. And another movie, all these movies highly recommended by me, but another one is this next movie. Well, let me talk about the actor first. The actor is Lakeith Stanfield. Over the last decade or so, even the last 5-6 years, he's gotten really popular. He showed up in a lot of movies. He was in Get Out for sure, which I did pick in my A to Z challenge, and he just pops up in a lot of different things, and he always does an amazing job, always an outstanding job. This one is the one movie where he was the lead. There may be others, but this is the one that for me is his best movie. It's an odd movie. It's a movie makes you think, and it is a dark comedy with some very strange things happening. It is Sorry to Bother You. So he plays a guy who's kind of down on his luck. He's living in his brothers or his cousins. He's living in his garage, and his girlfriend is getting tired of it. His girlfriend's played by Tessa Thompson, by the way. His girlfriend's getting tired of it, she wants him to do more of himself, and he decides to take a job as a telemarketer. And he finds out you can get further ahead if you can sound like you're white on the phone. And that's not the whole premise of the movie. That's just kind of a jump off point. So watch it and see what happens after that, because I'm pretty sure you're just not going to guess where it goes. Danny Glover's also in this movie, and like I mentioned, Tessa Thompson. So it's a great cast, great movie. And I had a really fun time. I went to the theater and saw this. My daughter and I went, and it was funny because, like I said, it's a dark comedy, but not everybody got the jokes. And so it was a lot of time in the theater where I was the only person laughing, and that made me laugh even more. But let's just go to the next actor. And the next actor is Omar Epps. Omar Epps, I picked his movie Juice in the A to Z challenge. For me, that's his best role. But since I already picked that, and I didn't mention this right off top, and the reason I'm not picking any of those movies again for Huck's challenge, he said, don't pick any of the movies that you picked for the A to Z challenge. Give me something new. And challenge accepted. So for Omar Epps, I'm going with the movie In Too Deep. And he plays a cop who goes undercover, and he's trying to stop the bad guy played by Mr. LL Cool J. Bad guy calls himself God, so you know a guy's pretty tough if he called himself God. Definitely a hood classic. Definitely check it out. A lot of people. Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne, another movie that I could have picked with Lawrence Fishburne, went into the Criterion collection last year. A lot of similarities between the two movies. Next actor is the one and only Sidney Poitier. Rest in peace to him. Passed away not long ago. And I had a few different ways I could go with Sidney Poitier. Uptown Saturday Night, a movie he did with Bill Cosby. One that I didn't go with. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? I got a nice digibook of that one. Didn't go with that one. I picked, for me, his best role, most iconic role, and that is as Mr. Tibbs in The Heat of the Night. And this is a great set. If any of you collectors out here are looking to see In the Heat of the Night and haven't done it, there are 3 movies in the franchise, and they're all included in here, even though it was only one title advertised. So he plays Mr. Tibbs, and this is in the 60s, and he's a cop from Philadelphia, I believe. Either Philadelphia or Washington, D.C. I think it's Philadelphia. And he's He's goes to the South, and he's down there to help investigate a murder. And the cops down there aren't too receptive to him. No one in town is really receptive to him, given the place and the time, and the climate, social climate, racial climate of the era. So he has a hard time. Basically, the people he's supposed to work with are giving him a hard time, and of course, everybody in town is giving him a hard time. Great movie. Check out In the Heat of the Night if you haven't done that yet. Next actor is one that's recently got some critical acclaim, but he's been doing work, and I'm gonna apologize because I'm actually not up to that actor. He's in this movie, but I'm gonna save that little spiel. So this guy is one who is he's what we like to call black famous. So he showed up in a lot of black movies. A lot of black movie fans, they know who he is. A lot of white movie fans, not so much. They may know him from a few things here and there. And his name is Mekhi Phifer, and here he plays a young drug dealer in Spike Lee's Clockers. And there's a lot happening. He's not just your run-of-the-mill drug dealer where he's the bad guy and they got to take him down. There's a lot happening, and we get to know him. He's a real character. He's a human being, and there's a lot happening in this neighborhood. Cops investigating things, and you have to kind of see it to check it out. Mr. Delroy Lindo is also in this movie, and I'll talk a little bit more about him. Matter of fact, that's who my spiel was about. But Clockers is a very underrated Spike Lee flick. Next is Tony Todd. I had to get some horror in there. Tony Todd is known for horror. His voice is crazy, and of course I had to take his most iconic role, and that is as the title character, the titular character in Candyman. So yep, that's him right there on the cover. Most horror fans have seen Candyman, so really not much more to say about this. Only thing, just a little personal note, I went to the theaters to see this way back when it came out. And of course, the next time I was in a bathroom alone, I looked in the mirror and I said Candyman 5 times. I'm still alive, so you know, maybe it's a delayed reaction. So if one day suddenly I'm gone, Candyman came and got me. All right, next actor is Billy D. Williams. So in the 70s, there were very few black actors that achieved any type of real fame in the 70s. There were some. Billy D. Williams was one, and he was really the only one that was kind of looked at as a sex symbol. At least one of the only ones. And in this movie, though, he's kind of playing that image down a bit, and he is the title character in this movie, Bingo Long, Traveling All-Stars, and Motor Kings. It's a baseball movie where they're a barnstorming team. They travel from town to town playing local teams, and they're also in the Negro League. So yeah, this is, back in the 1940s and 50s, back in the 1940s, really, before Jackie Robinson broke the color line in the major leagues. So it's one of my favorite baseball movies. I talked about it in a video where I did a whole movie on all of my baseball movies. So go ahead and check that out. It's a very hilarious movie, and if you'll notice up here, James Earl Jones is up here, and then this guy, we're gonna get to him a little bit later, so I'm not even gonna say his name. If you know, you know, and you can probably see his name right there on the cover, or do you? Yep, you do. So check out. I'll get to a movie for him pretty soon. Next up is recent favorite, and this guy is he's popular with everybody, so he's not a guy that's obscure or just known to the black community. This is one Mr. Michael B. Jordan. So there are a lot of different ways I could go with him, and I decided to go ahead and I'm gonna cheat a little bit, because I'm gonna bring both Creed and Creed 2, reviving the Rocky series. So both really good movies. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. Well, actually both of them, because I just didn't know where they were going to take the story with Creed 2 after Creed. So I'm looking forward to Creed 3. I'm not sure if Sylvester Stallone is in it. I heard he wasn't, but either way, I'm still looking forward to it. Creed and Creed 2, two of my favorite boxing movies. Got another boxing movie coming right up. This actor, believe it or not, he is probably one of the most popular black actors of all time. Definitely one of the most popular black actors of all time. And while I was just writing out names of people I can talk about, I somehow forgot it. And then all of a sudden, it just slapped me. Will Smith. So I'm gonna take him not in any of his super duper blockbuster movies, not Independence Day, not even the Bad Boys movies, not Men in Black. I'm gonna go with the movie where he portrays my favorite boxer of all time, Muhammad Ali, and the movie is Just Ali, directed by Michael Mann. I feel this is a really underrated movie, though. Smith was nominated for an Oscar for his portrayal, and rightfully so, because he does a great job. So I'm going with Will Smith I'm going with Ali for Will Smith. If you have any interest in Ali, in Muhammad Ali, the person, the boxer, go ahead and check it out. And this is really about him returning from after his prison stint and trying to regain the heavyweight crown. So go ahead. It's a really good movie, and watch that one. For the next actor, I'm going back into the 70s, going to the blaxploitation era, going to the man who pretty much was the star of the blaxploitation era, the male star anyway. He was like one of the biggest ones. That's Fred the Hammer Williamson. And the movie I'm going with is actually a sequel to another movie. The movie is Hell Up in Harlem. It is a sequel to Black Caesar. Unfortunately, I do not have Black Caesar. Otherwise, I'd have both of them in my hands. Amazing movies. He's just one of the coolest dudes ever, coolest guy of all time. That's all I'm gonna say about that. If you haven't seen any Fred the Hammer Williamson movies, see one just to see how cool he is. The movies aren't always the greatest due to a lot of things, the budget and just the blaxploitation era, but he is an icon of the era. He's always made his own way. A lot of the movies he wound up making himself, putting up the money for, and just getting them out there. So Hell Up in Harlem, my pick for Fred the Hammer Williamson. And I'm gonna say don't necessarily check this one out before you check out Black Caesar. I just don't have Black Caesar. And if you can't get your hands on either one, just find a movie with him in it. Next guy we're gonna go with is another more recent actor. We're gonna go with Mahershala Ali. And for me, to this day, this is still his best performance. He is coming up in the MCU as Blade, and I'm looking forward to the Blade movies, but I'm pretty sure his acting won't top what he did in this movie. And he was only in a small portion of the movie. He was in less than half of the movie, and that is Moonlight. It won Best Picture a few years ago, famously when there was a mix-up and the wrong movie was announced. But it is a phenomenal movie. That's not him on the cover. If you're not familiar with Mahershala Ali, that is actually him on the back. And it's an amazing movie. Go ahead and check out Moonlight if you haven't. Again, it won Best Picture a few years ago, so it is well worth your time. All right, the next actor I wanted to talk about, another legend, Richard Pryor, probably my favorite comedian of all time. He's right up there, neck and neck. Him and George Carlin, to be honest, they're really close for me. I grew up listening to Richard Pryor records. A lot of his movies kind of hit and miss, but for me, this is his best movie and best performance, and it's a semi-autobiographical movie. It's late, like I said, guys. I struggle to say that word, semi-autobiographical. Don't mind me. But anyway, in this movie, so a lot of the things that happen are taken from his life. Though he doesn't play Richard character, he plays a guy named JoJo Dancer, and the movie is called JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen that, a lot of people haven't even heard of this movie. Definitely check it out. A lot of the events that happen to him in real life are depicted in this film, even though it's not an actual biopic about him. There was a one supposed to be made about him they've been talking about one for years. Last I heard, Mike Epps was going to play Richard Pryor. Kind of curious to see that. I'm not the biggest fan of Mike Epps, but he has, shown flashes of really good performances in a few things. So I hope it comes out. Hope it comes to fruition, and hope we get that biopic. The next actor on my list is one Mr. Jamie Foxx. So Jamie Foxx, he's a guy who honestly he should work more. He really should work more. He's a really good actor. He's a good singer. He's kind of all over the place and doing everything. But his absolute best performance was when he played Ray Charles in the biopic Ray. So I'm definitely going with that one. He just fully embodied Ray Charles. He just watching him was really like watching Ray Charles. So a great performance. I had to pick that one. Great job for him. Next is I needed an action star. I had Wesley Snipes, but didn't really go with an action role for Wesley. And Fred Hammer Williamson, kind of sort of an action. Those are action movies, but they're not the more recent action movies. These are kind of blaxploitation movies. Well, this one I got the best of both worlds. I'm going with Michael Jai White, and I'm going with the spoof of an exploitation movie. And as you can see, I just banged the microphone and moved it around. Don't worry about that. So Michael Jai White, well-known martial arts expert and actor, and he plays in this movie Black Dynamite. That is actually the name of the character and the name of the movie. And it is a spoof of the blaxploitation era, and one of my favorite spoofs of all time. If you have not seen Black Dynamite, if you do love blaxploitation movies and you're familiar with them, you will get a kick out of this in more ways than one, because he does a lot of martial arts in this movie also. Next is an actor we lost recently and definitely way too soon. That's Mr. Chadwick Boseman. And the easy pick here would have been to go with Black Panther. I love Black Panther, one of my favorite MCU movies, but I didn't do that. I decided to go with a movie that's not necessarily his best movie, but probably his best performance, or I would say second best. His best performance is in the Netflix movie Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. No physical release for that as far as I know, so I don't have it, but I do have Get On Up, where he played the legendary James Brown. So I had to get this one in there. Again, I have some issues with the movie, but no issues whatsoever with Chadwick Boseman's performance. He is phenomenal in the movie. My next actor is a guy who's still going strong, Mr. Daniel Kaluuya. Just showed up in Jordan Peele's Nope over the summer. Movie I really like. A lot of people are kind of on the fence. Either I found that you really hate it or you really love it. At least from most people that I've talked to, and I'm in the love it camp. Don't have that one out yet. It's not out on physical media. I will have it soon enough. And I've already picked Get Out. He was also the star of that, so didn't pick that one. What I did pick was a movie where he was beyond phenomenal in this movie, and it's a great movie. One of my favorite movies of the year it came out, and he plays Black Panther local leader in Chicago, Fred Hammond, and that is it is Fred Hampton. And that is Judas and the Black Messiah, also with Lakeith Stanfield, who was also great in the movie. And yeah, Kaluuya won Oscar for this movie, so definitely a strong pick for him. The next actor, this is where we get back to Delroy Lindo, by the way. Delroy Lindo, again, he's an actor who recently got some acclaim because of his performance in The Five Bloods. He was great in that. Another Netflix movie, so I don't think that has any physical release yet either, so I don't have that anywhere. Somebody please put it on physical so I can go ahead and snatch that one up. This one was another Spike Lee joint, because The Five Bloods was directed by Spike Lee. This movie was also, and this is one of his bigger roles where he's pretty closer to the lead. Actually, the lead is a little girl in the movie, but he's probably the next biggest character in the movie. He plays the dad, and the movie is Crooklyn. And I had a tough choice to make because one of the main actresses in the movie, Alfre Woodard, is also great in the movie. So I'm gonna try to work her into my top 25 women. We'll see how that works out. Maybe I will. I'm gonna have to do some looking around in my collection. But Crooklyn is a remarkable coming of age story of a little girl, the little girl who plays his daughter, and he's a try-hard dad, but just not always doing the right thing. Nothing immoral's going on in the movie as far as that goes. He just can't always get it together. And that brings us to the last pick, and that is an ensemble piece, a male-dominated ensemble piece. And I had a few choices, but in the end, there was really only one for me. This movie has a lot of the actors that I just listed, talked about. Eddie Murphy is the main character. He directed the movie, and Richard Pryor is also in the movie, and that is Harlem Nights. So it's not just what makes an ensemble, not just Richard Pryor, not just Eddie Murphy, Red Fox, who played Fred Sanford in Sanford and Son TV show. If you're familiar with that, you know how iconic that show was. Robin Harris, a stand-up comedian who's also in House Party, and so you get black comedy royalty in Harlem Nights, and they all have a great part and they do their thing in the movie, along with Danny Aiello is in the movie, and quite a few other actors who show up. Della Reese, however, there is a female Della Reese in the movie that has a big part, and I can't lie if I didn't say, I would be lying if I didn't say that she stole every scene that she was in. But fact of the matter is, it's still a male-dominated movie with all those guys, all those great black comedic legends. Again, joined by Della Reese, and Robin Givens is also in the movie. Jasmine Guy is in the movie. So yeah, Jasmine Guy, not Robin Givens. Can't get them all right. But anyway, Harlem Nights is my pick for the ensemble. Guys, let me know how I did. Do you know these movies? Have you seen them? What do you think of these movies? What are your picks? If you don't have a YouTube channel, go ahead and just drop a comment with 25 or 26 movies that you would pick for 25 actors plus an ensemble piece. Again, this is all male-dominated ensemble piece included. If you do have a YouTube channel, feel free to make your own video, or you can just go over to Huck's page, watch his video, leave a comment on his video. You can participate in any number of ways. So I'm looking forward now to the actresses, so I'm gonna get to looking around here and see what I can come up with for the ladies, and look for that video probably in a week or so. And that's all I have for you on this one, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.